Hello, everybody. This is Jake Sanzano, host of the Jake and Gino podcast with my co-host, the multifamily mentor, the coach, chef, father, six, the best-selling author, the G-Daddy, Gino Barbaro. Gino, how's it going?
Jake, I am doing great this morning. How you doing, bro? That shirt's looking good on you. You told me everything looks good on you, so I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, round two is always the secret here, and I'm always making it happen, big man. Today's guest is the founder and CEO of Seiler Tucker Incorporated and best-selling author of Exit Rich, about how to sell your business for a huge profit. She and her firm have sold over 1,000 businesses in almost every vertical and have a remarkable track record for success. So without further ado, Michelle Seiler Tucker, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jake. Gino, pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is all ours. Please share with us your background and how you ultimately created your current company.
Sure. So I didn't really come out of the womb saying, oh my God, I'm going to sell companies. But at the age of, I would say 7, 8, I never played with toys and never played with dolls. I wasn't your average child. I would walk around with a notebook and a pen, and I would walk up to perfect strangers at grocery stores, banks, church, etc. And I would just walk up and start asking them a bunch of questions. And so my mom's like, woo, she's going to be the next Barbara Walters. So I was just curious, and I was so curious about entrepreneurship. Even at that young age, I wanted to know, what do you do? How do you do it? How did you get started? What's your secret? At the age of 8. So I knew I loved entrepreneurship. I didn't really have a lot of entrepreneur role models, but I knew I wanted to be my own boss because my number one pet peeve is don't tell me what to do. It drives me crazy. I don't like being told what to do, even though my clients tell me what to do. So I started small businesses, really small businesses like paper stuff, lemonade stuff, all kinds of different small businesses. And I always said I would never get that job. So I've owned publishing companies, event companies, technology companies, and Xerox ended up recruiting me and offered me a really good package. And I said yes, to be the high volume manager to really teach salespeople how to sell. And then within 6 months, it promoted me to regional vice president over 100, 150 salespeople.
Was this in Rochester, New York?
No, this was in New Orleans, Louisiana, but I went to Leesburg, Virginia for all the training.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so I was regional vice president of the entire South region. And I hated it. I hated it. It was a big raise. It was a great package, but I hated it because I like sales. I like solving people's problems. I'm solution oriented. And at Xerox, at any Fortune 500 company, especially the top ones, they're having meetings, schedule follow-up meetings, and nothing ever gets done. And I'm a mover shaker. I like to get things done. I like to create relationships that last a lifetime. That's why I like sales. I like solving problems. So anyway, I said, gosh, I can't do this anymore. So I started a franchise sales, franchise development, franchise consulting company, and I was partnered with different franchisors, equity partner with them, and I did all their franchise development. So I had so many buyers that kept asking me for existing businesses. They're like, I don't want to buy a franchise. I want an existing business. I had sellers that kept coming to me and saying, hey, can you sell my company? I'm like, but that's not what we do. But then after maybe, 6 months of that, a year of that, I'm like, you know what, I should do this. There's something here. So in Las Vegas, I walked into my very first M&A conference. There were about 3,000 men there, and I was the only woman that walked in the door. And several of them turned around and said, honey, you're in the wrong convention. Your convention is down the hall, the dermatology convention. And I said, honey, you're in the wrong convention.
It might have been a compliment. I mean, dermatology is usually health and beauty, man.
I said, I'm here for M&A. Maybe you should be at that conference. Anyway, that was back in 2000. So I've been in this industry, 22 years now. Sold lots of businesses, but we don't just sell businesses. And I think that's what makes us so unique, is because I've owned so many different businesses. I specialize in buying businesses, fixing businesses, growing businesses, partnering with business owners where I invest my money, my core competencies, resources, and I put them on a build to sell program. Like we're working with one that we're about to partner with. And I said, listen, we have to sell this company for $15 to $20 million within 3 to 5 years. If we can't get there, then I'm not interested. So I have, my whole blueprint of what inspires me to partner with a business owner. So we really specialize in buying, selling, fixing, growing companies as well.
Michelle, why did you write the book, Exit Rich?
So that's my third book. And my first one was Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. I wrote Exit Rich because many reasons. First and foremost, Steve Forbes, who endorsed Exit Rich. Steve Forbes says 80% of businesses on the market will never sell. M&A Source says 90% of businesses on the market will never sell. Well, Houston, we have a problem because that means you have less than a 20% chance of selling your company, 10 to 20% chance of selling your company. And most business owners never think or plan their exit until a catastrophic event occurs, whether that's internal or external. Internal is health issues, partners disputes, divorce. It's a 51% divorce rate in our country, death. And external is this pandemic we've been stuck in for the last 2.5 years all around the world. That is not the time to sell your business, Gino. Business owners come to me and they're like, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to kill all these employees. So either I sell or I go to jail. And then I'm like, okay, what do you want for your business? Obviously, I'm the expert. I'm going to tell you what your business is worth, but I want to take their temperature. I want to see how realistic they really are, because most business owners are not realistic. They overvalue the business. I just want to say, Michelle, I want $20 million for my business. And their EBITDA was like $500,000. But no, there's no way they're going to get 20 million. So I wrote Exit Rich to educate business owners that you really should start what I call your GPS exit model and plan your end at the beginning. Like Stephen Covey always says, start with the end in mind. And that's what business owners are not doing. That's why they're exiting for pennies on the dollar. They're closing their business, or even worse, they're filing bankruptcy. And the other reason I wrote it is because let me tell you I didn't write it for this reason, because I found this out when I started writing it. It used to be that 95% of all startups will go out of business within the first 1 to 5 years, right? We all know that. Startups are at great risk. But the business landscape has flip-flopped. Now only 30% of startups are going out of business. But those companies that have been in business for 10 years or longer, and this is out of 27.6 million businesses, those companies are going out of business that have been in business 10 years or longer. 70% are going out of business. So 70% of existing businesses are going out of business, while only 30% of startups are going out of business. I didn't know that when I started reading Exit Rich. In fact, Sharon Lechter, who's my co-author, and you've had her on the show, she said, Michelle, this can't be right. This can't be right. Double check it, triple check it, quadruple check it. And I sent her to research. It's true. And the problem is, there's 30.2 million businesses in the United States. At any given time, 30 to 40% will be for sale. If we have 70% dropping like flies, then that's going to hurt the US economy, because these 30.2 small businesses employ over half the US workforce. When you start closing down small businesses, when we start losing workforce, we start losing spending power. That's a trickle-down effect. It's a domino effect where you start losing more small businesses.
Why will 90% of businesses not sell? What is the root problem with these companies?
Well, the biggest problem, 80 to 90%, the biggest problem is they don't think about their exit. Let me give you a couple of examples. Number one, I had a lady call me from Dallas. Husband dropped dead of a heart attack at the age of 40. Left her with a mountain of debt. She knew nothing about the finances, nothing about the business. Mistake number one. What our spouses need to know about our businesses and our financials. Mistake number one. Then she says, can you sell the business? So I started asking a bunch of questions. He didn't have a business. He had a glorified job that he went to work at every day. He didn't operate on what we call the 6 Ps in Exit Rich, what we can get into. He did not have any employees. He had subcontractors. He didn't even have a left-hand person. He didn't have an assistant. So he had all
GC or something?
He was a mid-sized GC. He had a lot of subcontractors. And they were doing pretty well when he was alive. But when he died, the business died because all the data was in his head. He didn't have any people in place.
Man.
He didn't have any processes in place. Those are the 2 big Ps you need in which to build a sustainable, scalable, sellable asset. So the number one thing is business owners are working in their business, not on it. Most business owners, entrepreneurs, have built themselves a glorified job that they work at every day versus a business that actually works for them. And they haven't built a business with the proper infrastructure that buyers want to buy.
That's an excellent point. Let me add to all the multifamily investors out there who are listening. This is so appropriate for when you buy a multifamily property. You need to think of what your exit strategy is. As our coach, Bill Ham, says, he's a pilot, former pilot. That plane goes up in the air. It's coming down, whether you want it to or not. There needs to be an exit. You're either selling this property, you're either refinancing this property. So you need to think of what your exit strategy is even before you buy the property. So you can get proper debt on it. You can put your proper business plan. So this is not just appropriate for selling a business. This is appropriate for investing in any type of multifamily property. So I think that's hugely, hugely important to anybody out there. And I think what you said, Michelle, about building the business to sell, I think most small businesses, they look at a business as just, for me, when I started, providing for the family. That's not what a business does. I learned what a business is supposed to do is to provide value for your customers. And then from there, create the business and then be able to sell that business down the road. I think the mindset is all incorrect for us. You know, we're a carpenter, we're a tradesman. We hate our boss. So let's start a business, and that business becomes the job. So we don't have the proper mindset to get on there. So, I mean, if you'd like to elaborate on that point, I'd love
to elaborate on that, because that's one of the biggest problems is mindset. And I always say you'll never grow a business beyond what you can grow the owner's mindset. You can never grow a business beyond what you can grow the owner. And remember, I partner with business owners. And the big thing is that business owners think of their business as their baby. They started it, they're growing it, they're, making sacrifices along the way. We go into business, think about this. We go into business for financial freedom. We go into business for a better quality of life. And that's any type of business, multifamily, any type of industry. We go into business for better quality of life. But yet, these business owners, many of them are losing money. Many of them have never taken a vacation. I just talked to a gentleman who hasn't had a vacation 9 years. He missed all of his kids. He's got 2 boys, 3 girls, missed all of his girls' plays, all of his girls' activities, all of his boys' soccer games. Why are you in business? Go get the job. You have more freedom at a job. So, they think of their business as their baby, that they've invested this and this and this and this. And when they go to sell it, they're so emotionally attached to their business. Mm-hmm. And hence, they've created a job, not an actual business. And I have a friend that has a huge multifamily company. It's one of my best friends. He owns half of Chicago. He just owns the wrong half. There's a good half and a bad half.
Keep your windows up.
He owns the bad half. And so I'm always talking to him saying, John, you got to build a company here. You got to get the right people. I've been talking to him since 2010 about getting the right infrastructure in place, about getting the right people. I always hire people and then they're terrible. I do this and then they don't work out. Well, then get a COO. Start with a COO and get them to start hiring for you and get them to do the training and the interview, because you're not good at it. So business owners need to focus on their strengths and hire their weaknesses. Every great entrepreneur has an even smarter team. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at Donald Trump, love him or hate him, who cares? None of his deals would have come to fruition in real estate if he didn't have George Ross. George Ross was the attorney that took Donald Trump's vision that had 1,000 holes in it because the devil's in the details, right? And he made it legal. And so that every entrepreneur needs a really smart right-hand person. So I've been working with him to build that solid infrastructure, because he's like, oh, I got to go put this fire out, put that fire out. You shouldn't be putting out fires. You're not a firefighter. You're an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Act like it.
Make it rain, right? Make it rain.
Yeah, make it rain. And then the other thing that drives me crazy with entrepreneurs is they're like, well, this is my baby, this is my baby, this is my baby. And then they have no idea what their baby is worth, because they never get an evaluation on their baby. They've never said, okay, I want to sell my business like I do. When I go into business with someone, I'm saying we're selling $15 to $20 million within the 3 to 5 years, or I'm not doing the deal. They never do that. They never plan their end game, and then they never know what their business is worth every year. You know what your real estate is valued at every year. If you have a financial advisor, you know what your portfolio is worth every month, right? Mm-hmm. But you take your most valuable asset and you have no clue, no concept what it's worth. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. And multifamily is sellable. There's a lot of buyers out there for multifamily.
So, okay, a minute ago, you're talking about the shift where the startups used to fail all the time. Now it's the 10-year plus businesses. And of course that sparked, a bunch of thoughts in my brain. So I want to unpack this a little bit. And here's a theory that I came up with in about 34 seconds, and I want you to poke some holes in it. So interestingly, over the last few years, there's been a lot of smaller tech companies starting up. So I'm wondering how that impacts this, but also the Amazon effect and the direct shipment effect, because as you've seen over the last 20, 30 years, all the main streets have closed up and they're gone and everything's being shipped directly. So a lot of these retail, and not only small retail, but larger retail, they're getting, basically wiped out as well. So that 10-year plus effect where these older companies are now failing, how much of that is retail and maybe being destroyed by the things that are going on with Amazon and companies like that? Is that a component of it? And are some of these new startups either doing franchises, which probably have a greater chance for success because we see franchises popping up all over the place, especially where I live, and then also maybe some tech mixed in there? Is that sort of maybe the recipe that's happening? Do you have any thoughts on that? Because I found that
a lot of thoughts. That was a lot all in one question. So
34 seconds,
that wasn't that.
You
so
came
that
up
wasn't
to that in 34 seconds. That's pretty impressive.
23 seconds.
23. Okay.
Just some banter on that. I just want to hear what you think.
Let me see if I can answer that in 34 seconds or 23 seconds. All right. So first and foremost, you can't turn on the news or read Wall Street Journal or USA Today without hearing about another business that closes down, right? Toys R Us went out of business. Toys R Us was in business for decades, 75 years, I believe it was. 75 years. Toys R Us goes out of business.
And KB Toy Store. You can't go to a damn mall and buy a toy anymore. That breaks my heart. Anyways.
No, we have toy stores in our malls in Louisiana. Come to New Orleans. I'll help you buy toys. I'll help you buy toys.
I love
He doesn't need any more toys. He's got plenty of toys. Okay. Keep him away from the toys.
We do have toy stores. But so you heard like Toys R Us goes out of business. What's the favorite? Godiva Chocolates. They're closing down 1,200 locations. And so all these retails are closing up. You are correct. But what the media doesn't talk about are all the private businesses. And this is not just retail. There are businesses across the scope. There are all kinds of different industries. The number one reason why these businesses are going out of business, selling for pennies on the dollar, closing their doors, filing bankruptcy, is because what I call lack of aim. AIM, lack of aim. AIM is, you want to take a stab at what AIM is, Jake?
The crosshairs?
I'll give you 23 seconds. No. AIM.
No idea, but Bed Bath & Beyond's on the list.
All right, I'm going to talk about toilets here. How about aiming? So AIM is always innovate and market. Always innovate and market. And Toys R Us did nothing new in 75 years. Yes, they went online, but they still had the same brick and mortar. They still had the same stuff. They really didn't innovate. They didn't create experiences.
Yes.
Buyer consumer habits have changed dramatically. The generational X, millennials, they don't buy the same way as baby boomers. They're all about the experience. We're all about, we want it now, we want it quick, we want it yesterday. They want the experience. So they didn't really adapt. They didn't innovate and they didn't market. Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix.
That was a big whiff.
That's an understatement, my friend. I mean, that's really an understatement there.
Yeah.
Good. I used to go to Blockbuster next to Antonella's Pizza and Fishkill. There's, we go, we get the pizza, we get the Blockbuster, it was great.
And I never turned my movies in on time. So I always got the penalty. So they made more money on me. But they went out of business because they didn't innovate. Xerox, who I used to work for, had the option to buy this technology or partner in this.
What are you holding up there?
A mouse.
Okay.
A mouse, not a real mouse, not a rat. The mouse for your keypad. They had the opportunity to partner with that technology, and they said no, they don't see it really, becoming anything. So innovation and marketing is key. Business owners get complacent, Jake. They want to continue to do things the way they've always done them. And they don't want to try new things. That's why you got to get new blood. So if you've been in business 10, 15, 20, 30 years, hire some of these millennials. I have a lot of millennials working for me, and they're great. You hear all this negative stuff about millennials. It's like anybody out. There's good baby boomers or bad baby boomers. There's good in every generation. But you got to get new blood in there, and you got to start innovating. And a lot of these companies have been in business so long, Jake, that their clients are aging out. Mm. And then they never look to innovate and market to get those new clients like Toys R Us, like Blockbuster. So innovation and marketing is key. You're either growing or dying. There's no in between.
Toys R Us needed to pull in like Lego demos and real on-site Lego experiences and some of the more tech stuff where the kids could actually use it. So they want to, be in the store, get mommy and daddy to come in and a reason to go in versus just the drop ship from Amazon.
That's how Build the Bear. Do you have kids too, Drake?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you've heard
Build the Bear. Build the Bear is still kicking. Yeah,
it's still kicking. Well, it did have a lot of trouble. It did have some trouble. It closed up in a few malls here in Louisiana. But they're still kicking because why? It's an experience. You take your kids for an experience. You want your kids to learn how to build stuff. You don't want to just go and buy them something, right? You want them to experience something. And then the kids do it once, they want to keep doing it. And so Toys R Us never did that. They never created the experiences. So what you have to do now, if you've been in business for a while, and you should be doing this anyway, you got to ask your clients, what will make it easier for you to do business with me? What will make it more convenient? What would you like to experience when you do business with our company? And that's where processes come in. So many business owners, they really design their processes around the owner's experience, not around the client's experience, around the owner's agenda. Around the owner's agenda. Doctor's office, perfect example.
Not what the client wants, what the owner wants. And that's completely upside down. We've talked about that a lot, Gino.
Correct. So they build it on the owner's agenda, not the client's experience. So take a look at doctor's offices. When are their hours? When are they open?
10 to 4?
10 to 4 or 9 to 4. And
with a 2-hour wait.
Yes, and then they're closed usually half a day on Thursdays, Wednesdays or Thursdays, and then they're closed on Fridays, so open a half a day. When do we work? So did I ever look and see, okay, what makes it convenient for our patients? So my husband and I own multidisciplinary clinics with MDs, DCs, and it's chiropractors, medical doctors. And we said, okay, we have 10. We said, what do we want our clients, our patients to experience? Well, we asked our patients. Guess what they said? We want flexible hours. We need evening appointments. We need Friday afternoon appointments. We need Saturday appointments. We need to get in and out. We don't have the time to wait. And so guess what we did? We have 3 evenings where we're open up to 7:30 at night. Mm-hmm. We are closed half a day on Friday to give our staff a break, but we're open Saturday till 2.
I'd make it more
so you got to design your experience around your customers. McDonald's did this back in the 40s. Have you ever watched the movie The Founder?
Oh, yeah.
Great movie. And it's a true real estate story, too, because McDonald's is not in the restaurant business. They're in the real estate business. And what's great about what they did is when they decided to create McDonald's, they said, look, we're going to create a fast food restaurant because there isn't one. It's in dining or Sonic drive-up type. And we're going to create a fast process systems around our customer experience. So they said, they asked the customers, what do you want to experience? Hot, great tasting food that's hot, 30 seconds or less. It's the reason why, even though it was designed back in the 40s, it's the reason why you can eat at McDonald's anywhere in the world and get the same experience. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love that.
It was a banter. We're just having a friendly conversation.
Well, you know what? I forgot one question I want to answer real quick. Because he asked about startups. And he asked about, they're starting out tech businesses,
a lot of franchises all over the place. I think that gives more of a certainty for execution, probably because you're following the plan, right?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Remember, my background is in franchising.
Hey, I'm not saying it's sexy or, I want to be in it. I'm just saying that if you follow the roadmap. It's not
always secure either.
Yeah.
So let's break that down really quick, if that's okay, Gino. So I can answer these questions. So the startups, right? The reason why you don't have 95% of startups failing anymore is because you have a much more sophisticated entrepreneur coming in. And these are a lot of millennials starting businesses. And they're innovative. They're looking around the world and saying, okay, number one, what is the problem? So many businesses are going out of business because we don't need another coffee shop. We don't need another yogurt store. We don't need another dry cleaners. So, and that's a problem. the marketplace was really saturated. And that's why you were having so many restaurants closed, so many ice cream stores, smoothie stores, etc., because there were too many in a block. And people, it used to be back in the old day, people would say, okay, I'm going to leave my job. Like you said, Jake, I hate working here. Or maybe that was Gino. I hate working here. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to start a business. Well, they have the Field of Dreams mentality. You watched the movie Field of Dreams? They have to build it. It will come. I call these dreamers. And so they go set up another coffee shop without doing any research whatsoever. Now you don't have that. You're not seeing all these new businesses popping up because there are more internet businesses. There are more e-commerce, Jake, to your point earlier. I saw a guy set up a business on a coffee machine. He manufactured a coffee machine. He got a patent on it. He sold it like crazy. But you can never have all your business tied up in Amazon. That's where most entrepreneurs are making a huge mistake. You lose Amazon, you're dead. And his problem is he had 95% tied up in Amazon. So I was helping him to go from Amazon to getting sales from his own website to all the other platforms. Like you could even go to Wayfair, you can go to Etsy. And plus, we started getting his coffee in different retail stores. So I was helping him to grow the business. But another mistake these entrepreneurs are making, Jake, is they have these great ideas and they're highly profitable, but they don't have an infrastructure. They have all 1099s. They don't have employees. They have a good product, but they have no processes really.
Well, where do you learn to scale? I think that's one of the biggest problems we've identified over the years is that college doesn't really teach you how to build and scale a company. High school is not going to do it. I mean, there's a few books on it, but I mean, this is the big gap in most startup businesses is the lack of knowledge and how to build, scale, and put in processes that are repeatable.
Well, that's another reason I wrote Exit Rich. Thank you. Perfect timing.
And I'm sure it's the 6 Ps, right?
Yes, it's 6 Ps. So I wrote Exit Rich to help you not just sell your business. The first half of Exit Rich is all about building that business that you can scale, that's sustainable to run without you. The true test is if a business is sustainable, take off for 6 months and see what happens. And then have a sellable asset. It's not all about selling. You might never want to sell, but don't you want a better scalable business that's sustainable to run without you, that's more profitable?
That's the pinnacle, a well-oiled machine.
Yeah. That's why Exit Rich. And so these millennials are starting these great businesses, but they have no infrastructure. So guess, like right now, I'll give you a perfect example. So an app company, 5 million. EBITDA is about $1 million. And they have nothing. His husband and wife, nothing. No 6 Ps. But what they do have is a lot of clients paying them out money every day. So that's what they have. But the buyer subtracted, that we would have got 6 million, but this buyer subtracted right at $1 million for the infrastructure. We have another company that's on Oprah with Oprah's favorite things. Same thing. They work out of their house, they do all this stuff, they have zero infrastructure. So we either take it off now for EBITDA and make those adjustments, or the buyer's going to come in and do it. So if these millennials can't just go and start up these businesses without no infrastructure, and you got to be careful customer concentration. We have a cosmetic company that went in and 98% of their sales was in Costco. When the pandemic hit, Costco said, sorry, we have to cut you. Nobody's thinking about makeup now.
If you are looking to get involved in multifamily, this is where you need to be.
The team you've built is incredible.
There is no egos here. Everyone is always looking to help the other person.
This is where we get into the 6 Ps to make sure you have a well-oiled machine.
And Michelle, it's important when you were talking about that with Amazon. I want all the listeners to really pay attention. The customers on Amazon are not yours. They're Amazon's customers. That's really important. Get them over to you. When you're relying on YouTube for revenue for ads, that's okay. It's great, but that's not sellable because YouTube can shut that spigot off. So are you in control? Are you controlling the revenue? That's what most entrepreneurs don't understand. And the 6 P's, Jake, before we go to the short answers, I'm going to name all 6 P's. I want everyone to write these down because they're important and Michelle can dissect them really quick. The first one is people. The second one is product. Then it's process. Then we like this word, Jake, proprietary. Then it's patrons. And then it's profits. Gino. I'm like, what are patrons? I didn't know what the word patrons was, but profits is the last one. Patrons is number 5 and profits is number 6. So Michelle, you just want to walk through all 6 of those to give people a general understanding of what that model looks like so they can start.
Yeah, I'll try to give you, I'll try to give you the high level version. I mean, I can get really down and deep into it, but I'll try to do high level. So people is number 1. And the reason why people is number 1 is because that's the reason most businesses fail. And that's the number 1 reason that businesses don't sell. And it's because business owners are working in their business, not on it, and they don't have the right team. So you don't build a business. You don't build a business. You build people, and people build the business. You have to have the right people in the right seats. And have you ever walked into a company or did business with a company, you're like, this person does not belong in this seat or belong in this position? Because you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. So you really got to analyze the seats and have the right person in the right seat. And then you have to ask the who question. Who handles customer service? Who answers the phones? Who handles, who meets with people? Who does sales? Who does marketing? Who does quality control? Who handles legal? Who handles bookkeeping? Who handles manufacturing, distribution? The list goes on and on and on and on. The clue is you should never be next to the who. You need to be working on the business, not in it. And that's where you truly build a business. And business owners really have a hard time with that, Gino, because business owners are under the mindset, well, gosh, if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. And that can be further from the truth. And you'll never grow like that. You have to let go of the control in which to grow. A lot of entrepreneurs are afraid to hire people smarter than them. I'm always looking forward to hire people smarter than me. So that's number 1 is people. Number 2 is product. Product goes back to 70% of businesses are going out of business. So you have to ask yourself, your product, your industry, your service, is it on the way up and you have an Amazon? Or do you have a Blockbuster and you're about to die? And if you have an Amazon and you're in your prime, today's Prime Day, and you're in your prime, that's when you sell. You don't sell when you're going down. And that's what owners do. They call me when they have 1 foot out the business because they're so burned out, and then their business is about to close. That's almost too late. You sell when you're in your prime. And here's another big mistake the business owners make when they're in their prime. Like, oh, the business is doing so good. It's my best year ever. And then pandemic hits or something, or a tornado or hurricane or something comes along. You sell when you're at your height, when you're in your prime. Also, have multiple congruent revenue centers. The reason the restaurant industry died during the pandemic is because they have one way they get paid. You come in and eat, or you take food to go. They have no e-commerce. They have no private label specialty products that are just selling in grocery stores and gourmet shops. So you always have to have at least 5 to 6 congruent revenue centers. If you have a restaurant, you don't want to own a landscape company. It's not congruent. Okay? And so processes is what we've already kind of talked about. You need to design your processes around the customer experience. If you don't design a wow experience, create a wow experience for your clients, you're going to lose market share because guess what? Consumers are not loyal anymore. They're not loyal anymore. Customers are going to go to the place, they're going to do business with the business that makes it easiest for them to do business. Whoever makes it easiest, painless, and gets them what they need the quickest is going to find market share.
You know who says my pleasure?
Who?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, my pleasure.
Lines out the door, baby.
And they are so well trained too. They're not, they're so well, I don't want to say anything negative about other fast food places, but they're very well trained and they're very.
No, it's night and day. The experience is completely different. Night and day
between them and McDonald's, them and Burger King, them and Taco Bell. It's completely night.
And they do so much more volume and they do it so much quicker. And, they are rewarded for it. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So these processes need to be well documented. And look, it's not just small businesses. Let's make this crystal clear. We're selling a $55 million company in Florida, and their processes are good. They have 350 employees, are good for 4 of their companies. The 5th company, they have no processes. They tell the employees to write the processes. You're going to make sure every department has those processes, has SOPs, standard operating procedure checklist, because your buyer is going to walk in during due diligence and they're going to want to look at that. And if they're not good, they're going to deduct money. And that's what due diligence is. It's a way for them to deduct money. They're going to deduct money in which to redo those processes.
We don't want these retraders coming in here.
And then you want to make sure you have good contracts in place with your employees. It's real important to have employment contracts, employee handbooks, and management team non-competes. If you don't have these non-competes and these agreements, then your deal literally could fall apart. You got to remember, when you put your business on the market, you're competing with all the other businesses on the market. And so then we have proprietary. Proprietary, I'm going to spend a little bit more time here, if that's okay, and less time on the other two P's. Proprietary is everything. Let me give you a quick crash course on valuation. Now, this is not directed at multifamily. This is for most industries except multifamily and except SaaS businesses. Okay. So if your business is under $1 million in EBITDA, you can expect anywhere from 1.5 to 3.5 multiple on EBITDA. Here's where it's a drastic change. Your business is over $1 million in EBITDA, then your multiple is going to start 4, 4.5, 5, up to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The higher the EBITDA, the higher the multiple. This is why public companies trade for 20, 30, 40 multiple. And private sectors are always saying, well, Michelle, this company traded for 30. I said, go look at that company. It's a public company. You're not going to get that from a private sector.
What was the range again? You said, so under $1 million, it's like one.
It's 1.5 to 3, 3.5, but it has to, if you're going to get that higher 3, 3.5,
yeah,
you got to run on all 6 P's.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to get 1.5, 2.
Yeah.
If it's over $1 million, then it typically starts 4.5 and up, depending upon the industry. Some industries start at 6. And if you're on the 6 P's, if you have a business that you built on all 6 P's and your proprietary synergies are there, that's when you really start getting 8, 9, 10 higher multiple when you have built your proprietary assets. And if it's a SaaS business, it's really the only industry that gets a multiple of revenues, not a multiple of EBITDA. So let's talk about proprietary, because it is your number one value driver. Number one is branding. The more well branded your company is, the more I can sell it for, as long as the brand is relevant in the mind of the consumer. Blockbuster. Is anybody paying anything for Blockbuster?
I was.
So no. Zero. Is anybody paying anything for Toys R Us?
I was.
Our Toys R Us brand still has value.
Yes.
Because we still remember it and we still have positive images. Most of us have positive images. My girlfriend said, I hate that place. I'm so glad they're going out of business. But most of us have positive images, right? So a really innovative entrepreneur like Steve Jobs could have turned Toys R Us around like that.
Oh, he would have been great.
All about creating experiences,
Yeah.
right? So what is the most valuable brand in the world? Do you all know?
Apple.
Boom! Gino wins the prize for today.
Win
Woo!
something.
Ring the bell.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right, so you're the winner. So Apple's worth, you know how much? Just the brand.
I heard their corporate headquarters like half operating right now though. That big, huge, like circular Star Trek thing they got. Is like,
Doesn't matter.
okay.
Their brand is still worth everything.
Yeah.
What's the brand? How much is it?
$289 billion.
Wow.
A lot of
Billions.
pizzas.
On the brand.
Gino, that's a lot of pizzas, right?
Now the company is worth over trillions. So that's just a brand. That's not assets, cash flow, inventory, real estate, anything else. Build your brand. Here's the second most important thing, your trademarks. Trademarks are so valuable and such an intricate part of your company in your branding process. But most business owners, so I'm going to go through the top 10 mistakes when I do this real quick.
Okay.
Most business owners go to GoDaddy, they think of a name, and I've been guilty of this myself. They think of a name, they go to GoDaddy and like, yes, I got the .com. Because it's hard to get the .com sometimes. Then they go register in their state and they never look at the federal database to make sure that company name is available. They go into business and then 5 years later, 7 years later, 10 years later, I've seen it happen over and over and over again. They all of a sudden get a cease and desist letter that they have to stop using that company name. It's happened to me. Happened to me a couple of times. But I was just using it for different branding stuff, not for different product stuff, not really for a company. And so you spent all this money, energy to building your brand, and now you got to spend a lot of money to hire a lawyer and you're probably going to lose. So you need to go out there, register for that federal trademark right now, today, do it today. And not just for your company name. You need to do it for your slogan. I do it for the 6 Ps. I did it, for everything that is proprietary to me that I've created. And your podcast, do you have Gino and Jake podcast federally trademarked?
Don't think we have the trademark Jake and Gino, but we have the 3-step process: buy right, manage right, finance right. We have the conveyor belt theory. We have the SPY technique. We have the 3 pillars of real estate trademarked, and we're trademarking if it doesn't cash flow, let the grass grow. We're trademarking that as well. So we have several trademarks that are in that are.
But you should do Jake and Gino. Let me tell you why. Why haven't you done Jake and Gino?
Good question. Never thought about it. Because
who
would want to?
That's why I'm here.
Before this podcast comes out, though, we got to get it now. Or some creeper's going to mess with us. So we got to get
Yes,
it.
you do. Go flying. Jake and Gino, here's why you have to do it. So I'm Seiler Tucker Incorporated. I have a trademark attorney right next door to me in my high-rise building. And we're going through my trademarks. He goes, you need to get Seiler Tucker Incorporated. I go, it's my name. I don't have to get my name trademarked. He goes, yes, you do. And I go, why? He goes, there could be a Tucker M&A firm. There's nothing you can do about it. It's Tucker. It's their name too. You could have Seiler Real Estate. We sell real estate. We sell real estate companies and we sell commercial real estate. So he says you have to. So we're getting Seiler Tucker federally trademarked. You need to go get Jake and Gino because there could be a new podcast come out, Gino and Jake. Right now, if you don't have something trademarked, I want everybody in the audience. Look, I'm acting like it's a live audience.
Well, a minute ago you had the stage and everything going there, so that's what the subconscious coming at you.
I want all your listeners to go put a TM next to your logo, next to your company name, next to your slogan, next to anything that you use that you have a trademark. Your show right now, go put a TM next to it while you're filing for it. That will at least protect that you had it for so long. And because what happens is it can get into a battle because let's say if you had your podcast for how many years?
It's been 6 years.
6 years, okay.
15
so let's say somebody wants to go fight you on it.
7.
And you have no proof. I mean, you do have proof. You've been in it, but you don't have that TM. So it would be kind of a battle because it's about who had it longer, who's been doing the podcast longer, who's had that company longer. But it's a battle. It costs you money.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with that.
So just do the TM and make sure you go apply for the federal trademark is like $1,000.
Come on, Gino, read the check.
Yeah, Gino, don't be cheap.
Jeez, cheap, man. Come on.
You know how long it takes to rebuild a brand and how much money that costs?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's move on. Oh, but one other caveat to that. If you have products, we have a company that has products, and they're all similar products, which is funny. They each have a different federal trademark, and each one is exclusive to TJ Maxx, exclusive to Target, exclusive to Marshalls. And so trademark your products too. Patents are huge. We had a company that we sold for $18 million because they had 18 patents and no cash flow. So Shark Tank, if you ever watch Shark Tank, what do they always ask? Do you have a patent on that? Do you have a patent pending? Do you have a utility patent? So patents are huge. And then contracts. This is another big mistake the business owners make. Contracts, manufacturing contracts, vendor contracts, franchisors with franchisees that you've been talking about, Jake. Any type of supplier contracts, client contracts. Client contracts are the most valuable, especially if you have a reoccurring model. Now, I can't talk about reoccurring model enough because it will take you from a 5 to 6 on up. Buyers always ask now, do you have a reoccurring, do you have a subscription model? You know, how many people are in, what are they paying? Because they want that reoccurring revenue. Here's the biggest mistake the business owners make. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
98% of all sales are asset sales. 2% are stock. If the contracts don't have a transferability clause, and I would tell you, 99.9% of them don't have a transferability clause in their contracts, especially with their clients. And the buyer doesn't agree to a stock sale, which most buyers don't want stock sale for a multitude of reasons. Then guess what the seller has to do? The seller has to go out to all their clients and ask them to sign a consent to transfer. Now you've just told all your clients that you're selling your company. If the deal falls apart and you have no backup buyers, you could lose.
Bye.
Bye. We have a media company that has 2,000 clients on subscription. 2,000.
Mentally, the client's thinking they are no longer engaged. Peace, I'm out of here.
It's like a one sentence. This agreement is transferable upon a new entity.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
But if you don't, you're done. Yeah.
You're done. Well, you're not done because if you got me, you're not done.
Oh, it's all about your team.
Yeah, it's all about your team. If you got me, you're not done, because we sold a medical transportation company that had contracts with hospitals and nursing homes and doctors' offices. And I told them for the longest time, get your contracts, get the transferability in your agreements. Just have them sign a quick amendment to the agreement. And they had, I want to say, 600 clients, and the deal was dead. If it wasn't for me being able to talk the buyer into a stock sale, there wouldn't have been a deal. So I did talk the buyer into a stock sale. Most buyers would say no and move on to the next deal. Remember, buyers always have multiple deals in a hopper. You're not the only deal they're looking at. You're not, and a lot of times for the larger deals, and that's another thing, Jake, I want to talk about evaluation. When you get your EBITDA up over $1 million, we go to market without a price, because there are more buyers for great businesses over $1 million in EBITDA than there are for the smaller businesses. And so we create a bidding war. And that's how we can maximize value, because we look at these proprietary synergies and say, wait a minute, this company will pay more. We had a company pay 165% more for a business because they had a contract with British Petroleum. 65% of their revenue was in British Petroleum. All the other buyers were scared to death. We found a very strategic buyer that had similar products and services that never could get MVP. So he said, oh, I'll bet everybody else. He gave me a bid for 165% more than the appraised price for 70% of the company. So that's what we're talking about right now. Are these proprietary assets that can really get you 100, 150, 200% over the appraised price. So we talked about the trademark, the brand, the patents, contracts, manufacturing. Now listen to me. If you have an outside manufacturer, if you have an outside, so we sell a lot of pharmaceutical companies. So let's say that somebody that's making skincare or prescription ointment or something like that. You want to make sure you have a contract with that mixer. You want to make sure you have a contract with that supplier, a contract with that manufacturer. And you want to have multiple suppliers, multiple mixers, multiple manufacturers, just in case one falls out. So the transferability clause, I mean, that's worth everything on the show. I could just shut up right now if you do that. Databases, but I'm not going to. Databases, like Facebook paid 19 billion for WhatsApp. And how much was WhatsApp making?
I have no clue.
Nothing. They were hemorrhaging. But they had 1 billion users. And they knew they could take those 1 billion users and get an ROI. They knew they could monetize that investment. And so this company that we're selling right now, the software company that we're selling, we could get them probably quadruple if they would have been collecting data all this time. And the owner's like, no, I don't believe in that. I don't want somebody doing that for me, on me.
I don't believe in making money hand over fist.
That's right. And so he didn't do it.
Do the little things that are going to make you profit on the back end, folks.
So I'm like,
systematize and scale. Yeah.
I said, it doesn't matter if you care other people are doing it to you. They're going to do it. You should do it too. So anyway, celebrity endorsements is another one. It's really big. You know, if you can get your products in front of Oprah, I can guarantee you strategics will pay top dollar for that because they want to get their products in front of Oprah. There's 5 different types of buyers. Okay. So the other thing is radio personality. If you've ever heard radio personalities like Kid Conic Show, Glenn Beck, you know, they're only advertising one vertical, one skincare company, one bedding company, because otherwise they lose credibility, right? And that's prime real estate. We once sold a skincare company for a tremendous amount of money because they had all those prime spots locked up with all the #1 radio show hosts. This is what we call digital real estate. If you're #1 on Amazon in your category, if you're on the first page of Wayfair, Amazon, Etsy, any of these platforms, that raises your multiple, that raises your price, because here's what buyers are looking at. You have a value in your mind, right? If what you think y'all's business is worth. I'm going to come up with a value based on my expertise of 22 years. Ultimately, it's the buyer who determines what value means to them and what those synergies will do to blow up their business. I'll give you one more example. We had a manufacturing company, $1 Distribution center costs them about $5 million a year to run. We have another manufacturing buyer that has a much larger manufacturing company with distribution all over. But guess what they're going to do? They're going to cut that manufacturing company like that and increase their revenues and EBITDA at the closing. I could go on and on about proprietary assets. A couple other things is content is huge. Two things to protect yourself. Hold all of your proprietary assets in a separate corporation. Never hold it in your main corporation, because if you get sued, then you can lose all of your IP. Number two, if you have interns, ELANs, at Odesk, any of those companies, interns, independent contractors, creating content for you, video, blogs, news, press releases, just any content, get them to sign a release that they don't own that content, you do. The courts are getting tied up right now with squabbles between the owner and the contractor on who owns the content.
It's just a waste of time with this stuff. You don't want to mess around with it. So this has just been great. I think so much of this content is relevant and transferable into the multifamily space, and a lot of it, for our content and things like that, we'll definitely be picking it up. What is the best way for folks to get a hold of you, and where can they, pick up their copy of Exit Rich?
Two more P's really quickly, because I promised. Patrons. Okay. Patrons, Gino, you just said you didn't know what patrons are. That's your customer base.
Yes.
You got to be careful with customer concentration. Most businesses follow the 80-20 rule, where 80% of their revenue comes from 20% of their clients. You lose a couple clients, you're out of business. Plus, you got to make sure you're replacing your clients that are aging out. So you got to continue to innovate. The last one is profits. We're all in business to make money, but you'd be shocked about how many businesses don't make money. And you'd be shocked that 3 out of 5 businesses get embezzled every single year. So lack of profits is never your problem. Multifamily too. Lack of profits is every industry. The 6 P's are for every industry. Lack of profits is never your issue. It's never your problem. Not operating on the 5 P's is your problem. Not having the right people in place. Being in the right industry. Processes, proprietary, all buttoned up. That's why you're not making money. If you're operating on all 5 P's, you're going to be profitable. It's foolproof, I promise. It is literally foolproof. And then in order to protect your business and protect your money, owners do this. They either control everything because they're afraid, or they say, okay, I'm giving it all up. You can never do the second thing either. You have to let go in order to grow, but you have to trust but verify. Always inspect what you expect, especially when it comes to your money.
Gino says you promote what you permit.
Exactly.
I like that. Jake, I'm holding the book up here. Exit Rich. I want everyone to go there. It's SeilerTucker.com is Michelle's website. And it's a great book. I love the book. I love the 6 P's. Everyone always innovate and market. And I think, Jake, the quote of the day for me is, you don't build a multifamily portfolio, you build people who build a multifamily portfolio. So that's the takeaway for me. I love that one.
Okay, I say two things. Number one, yes, you can go to SeilerTucker.com. You can also go to STI at 360.com, because all of my stuff is at STI 360. You can take the 6P quiz if you want to. You can take the valuation calculator of what your business is worth today. And then not only do we have the printed version, Gino, you probably don't know this, we just came out with the audio version. So you can go get the audio version on Amazon, the Audible on Amazon or Apple, so wherever you buy your audio version, you can get that as well. And then make sure you listen to my podcast, Exit Rich.
Thank you. Jake, you're happy now. You got the Audible going on, bro, huh? No reading for you.
That's it, man. We keep it simple over here. Michelle, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank y'all for having me on.